Is it finally happening? Is crypto entering Raoul Paul's banana zone? I think it's likely. I think that today's guest, Wick, thinks it's likely. It's been a while since we've been here together on a Wednesday afternoon for Trading Alpha. Psyched to dive into some charts and see what's coming next. Let's go.
Let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Going to go ahead and bring on Wick without further ado. Market's looking pretty good here, man.
Yeah, and it's feeling pretty good too, Scott. It's really been a while, so I'm glad to see everyone's moral is up and there's positive posts day after day. Hopefully we can go a couple weeks this time. And yeah, let's start with this Bitcoin chart. Let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so here, guys, on the weekly, this is nothing new to you. Every time I've been putting this pattern up here, and whether you agree with this pattern or whether you think this was a little down channel, we have broken above this downtrend line here. Okay, the macro long-term downtrend line. Technically, that is a huge sign. Now, we do have 4 days to hold this, but the higher we go and the more time we spend above here, the better chance we have of breaking the next level. And what I want to see next is right what you see on the screen is at this level right here. Let's talk about this area right here. Now, the further away you get with resistance, the less important it becomes. Okay, that's a general rule of thumb in trading here. So I think that this area right here is the next part of the resistance zone that we want to get over. And I think what we're seeing right here is a very lovely setup that got us the breakout, which is this reversal bar that was confirmed the next bar. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because usually when you get these setups, when they do break out, you usually get a larger move. So I do think we have a good chance of breaking this area right here. Whether we break out, retest it, or just melt all the way up, I do think it's a matter of time, but this is the next area I'm watching. And of course, after that, we want to get through all-time highs. But more important to me, I think this is the most pivotal area just because we've been stuck in this pattern so long. I would hate to see us break below. So right now, I'm very bullish, and the longer we spend here, the better. What do you think?
How much confidence you have in that new dot there that you have on the weekly? Because, I mean, it never really went too bad. I mean, but kind of had a green and then two without a dot, but that beautiful doji there, and now this green dot.
Absolutely. And it's a great question, right? And that's what you see in stage 3. In fact, if there's any members of our Discord here, they'll know this is that when we go into stage 3, I actually tell them that they want to expect green and red dots as it's basing, actually going below the track line and above the track line and oscillating. This is actually a classic stage 3. Now, why do I think that this might have more credence? This green dot is a great question. It's because you can see that we stayed in this pattern that I've had, and then we had a deviation right here. Okay, which caused a very nice springboard. And I think that leads to a higher move to the upside on this breakout in this first green dot. It's the first momentum and a bullish trend on a micro scale that we've got ever since this big deviation out of the pattern. So yes, I do think that we have a good chance in this one. And so far it is showing a good sign of strength. Also, the last times that we had green dots, it didn't last this long. So the longer we spend above this area here, the more confidence I get in this move.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the daily. Obviously, mine are gray and blue just because that's my colors. But, you know, you had the break above the track line, then a gray dot on the daily, and then springing off the track line with the breakout arrow. Now above that, I mean, it's just everything looks good. I mean, I really think we got to get above 70 to really like have the first higher high. But like this looks so good. I mean, you got the arrow, the dots, you're right off the track line. And then if you're looking at this big channel, you know, that was also right off the sort of EQ halfway of that channel. So, I mean, it looks really good.
It's looking pretty good. And, you know, I think a lot of people are looking at that $70,000 level. So I think we're right on point over here. And that's going to be the next thing to look for. And moving on here, Scott, we talked about this earlier. In fact, you brought it to my attention. I showed this chart last week, but I actually didn't follow up on it. And you caught the breakout. So Scott showed me this right before and he said, hey, because you might want to do your BTC.D. And I was like, okay, look at this, guys. It hasn't broken this high. And Scott brought this to my attention since 2021. So I'm going to turn over to Scott and ask him what he thinks this means for us and what is probably the good or better play when you see this.
I mean, so listen, when Bitcoin dominance is raging, that generally means that Bitcoin is beating altcoins. So I think we've had some select altcoins like Sui and Aptos and some meme coins that have raged. But if you're looking at the altcoin market as a whole, it's just been, I mean, literally since 2022, you've wanted to be in Bitcoin. You know, unless you were choosing the right ones, you wanted to be in Bitcoin for this entire trend up. I mean, this does look like it should fall off a cliff eventually because it's sort of this rising wedge. But I mean, just to me says you should be focused on Bitcoin right now, maybe even let it make a new all-time high and then consolidate. And then I think that we go nuts on altcoins, but you know, this is just breaking higher for the first time again. It's hard to be really excited about like altcoins writ large.
Exactly, right. And that's been the move. So I think for those watching, if you are looking at BTC.D, I just moved the chart down a little bit, and we can see that it is actually quite a big range that we have, right? All these candles are in quite a big range here. So do be watching this, but if you do have the tools, I mean, this is pretty easy. We're nothing but green dots in the breakout hour. When you see the dynamic change, maybe a loss of green dots or a break below, if you can't hold inside the zone, then worry. But I think Scott's on point right now. I think the play is really to keep keep it staying Bitcoin as long as
I mean altcoins. When Bitcoin dominance goes up and Bitcoin's going up, your altcoins still gain value in dollars, right? So it's not like they're bad trades. It's just if you're trying to denominate in Bitcoin value, you'd rather be in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and it also depends what audience you're talking to, right? If you're talking to traders, then we obviously know that when Bitcoin starts going sideways and we see this dominance start even going sideways for a little bit, that's the perfect time when altcoins just start to pop again. So just depends how you want to play it, but it's looking good here. And then let's move on to something else that's also very interesting concerning Bitcoin, or to me here that I'm watching, is the fact that we've now got a green dot and we've been going up with the dollar, and Bitcoin's been going up at the same time. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, the higher the dollar goes, the more pressure it puts on risk assets. The lower it goes, the easier it is for things like Bitcoin and stocks and stuff like that to rise, especially tech stocks. So seeing this rise right here and Bitcoin's rising as well, for me actually says something very bullish, because it makes me wonder, okay, well, if we do get a pullback, right, in the dollar, or this trend does continue, it's probably going to make it even easier for Bitcoin to break those all-time highs. So I'm watching the dollar as well, Scott. I'm watching that for some weakness and to see how Bitcoin reacts when it does have that weakness.
Hey, really quickly before we go to the next one, just a good question, because I take for granted that everybody knows what we're looking at. Jordan here said, what are the dots? Trading Alpha is an indicator created by Wick, and we both use it. So that's generally what we look at when we're together. So they're part of the indicator. He can explain it better, but just so you know.
Yeah, so I'll show you right here. It's a good question. What are the dots? So let's take some of the stuff off so it's not too cluttered. And you can see here when I zoom out, whenever you have a trend starting, they start with green dots because the dots are measuring the micro trend, the trend on a micro scale. So whenever they turn green, it's the earliest signal that you have that the trend is now working in your favor if you're bullish, right? And then the bars are the opposite. So the dots are the first signal and the bars are the macro trend. So together with the dots and the bars, you get a really good synergistic picture of exactly what the trend is doing. And then if you want some more context here, whenever it goes over a track line, the track line is showing you momentum. So when you have the trend on both the macro and micro level and the momentum bullish, it's a very, very high probability setup that it will continue as long as all those stay intact.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then conversely, the same thing on the downside. When you lose the green dots and they go red and then the bars go red, it's more signs that you got a bearish trend until something happens, like a reversal signal or so forth. But yeah, very interesting that we're climbing on a higher dollar. Next, I wanted to look at IBIT. So this has been very interesting to me because we're soon to get options on IBIT, which will provide another way to manage risk. In fact, it's my favorite way to manage risk because you can also get liquidated as you can using leverage. And also people in the US can finally manage their positions more efficiently. And when this happens, be sure that on this show, we'll be talking a little bit more about options if Scott allows that. And we'll have some fun with IBIT even more.
That is your thing.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been talking. I'm like a school kid. But here on IBIT, again, we have a squeeze shading, okay, on the hourly chart for you guys that are trading stocks that do have exposure to Bitcoin in this, like Scott was explaining this morning. We are having a squeeze shading here. So we're looking for a breakout to the upside, and everything in the trend, the green micro trend dots and the bars are all suggesting that this will break out higher. After the shading, we look for a breakout arrow. So just more confluence that, you know, Bitcoin just looks really strong right now. And I guess we'll go over to some altcoins. As you said, some of the only few altcoins that are popping lately, and Doge looks to be one of them. Now, I shared this yesterday. This is, again, the weekly chart. And why do I look at the weekly chart? Because if you're trading even a mid or lower time frame, if you're trading with the trend, you have a higher probability of being right. Okay, so you always want to start with a higher time frame. And here we can see on the weekly chart, we have printed a bottom signal. This is one, if not my favorite signals from Trading Alpha. And the way that it is confirmed is one of the next two bars have to close above the wick, or if we get a green dot, and we've just got our first green dot on the weekly chart. This is the first green dot that we've had ever since October of 23. So it's been exactly 1 year since we've had a green dot.
Wow.
And why is this? Yeah, and look at this. Look at what happened the last time we got a confirmed bottom with a green dot. It was the perfect Pico time to buy before the move to the upside of about almost 300%. So that's yeah, so that's a setup for you guys today. You might want to start looking at lower time frames for a better entry. So that's what I do when I catch a setup like this. I say, okay, how can I time the entry even better? I might go to the daily chart and wait for one of our signals to get that real scalp entry on that. Let's see. Were you ever in Doge, Scott?
Doge is what got me addicted to crypto in 2016 and 17.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, we were trading it in sats, and it was like you could only trade it on a Bitcoin pair. It was like fractions of a penny, and it used to have these cycles. It was incredible.
That's too funny.
My favorite asset. I'm gonna, while you're talking, I'm gonna find the old Doge Bitcoin chart because it'll blow your mind how low it was back then.
Yeah, pull it up for us.
That's not it.
While Scott's doing that, I'll show you guys. This is the FTM weekly chart. This was also another one that I got to credit Scott for finding. He found this on the daily chart, which made me look at the macro, because as you guys know, I want to always be trading with the trend. Okay, and the trend on the weekly chart is certainly very bullish. In fact, I wish that I caught this. Look at this, another bottom signal confirmed by the R, closes well above the wick. This is a high probability setup. You can see that we just push higher to the upside, breaking above our stage 2 part 1 downtrend line, which I mentioned last show was here to here. So we've not confirmed this is in a stage 2. So this would be the next part that I would look for. You've got quite a room to run here. So as long as the market keeps picking up, I think FTM is going to have some good price action from here.
Yeah, like
did you want to?
I found the chart. Oh, I found it. I just got to show it. So this is
Yeah,
before it did this. That's before Doge did this, but starting in 2014. So I came in 16. So this is probably the first one I bought. Chris Inks, actually, who's here, was here this morning, is the one who taught me about this. And so it was like a joke. It was the original meme. This is in sats. So this is 0.6, like 6 zeros, 1/8, right? So you're talking about like the smallest denomination of Bitcoin that you could possibly find to put these in. And of course, Bitcoin back here was, $1,000 or 3,000, in that range. And you would just wait till it hit the red, and it would pull like a 10x, and then you'd exit, and it would come back down. You'd pull a 10x exit, come back down, pull a 10x exit, and then one time it just finally exited the stratosphere because of Elon Musk. But it was the easiest. The reason Doge originally was popular was because everybody took the same trade and knew that somebody would just pump it every couple months. You'd take your 10 to 20x and you'd sell everything and wait. But the fucked up thing is that my wife likes to remind me is like, I made like 20 grand, 15 grand here and there trading Doge up and down. If I just held all the Doge I had and known, of course, in advance that Elon Musk was going to pump the hell out of it, I probably would have had like $50 million worth of Doge or something.
Oof. What you could have, should have done always eats.
And it went to 70 cents. It was like a 1,000th of a penny when we were trading it,
By the way, did you really know Chris that long?
Yeah, Chris, I've known since 2016.
Okay, pretty cool. Yeah, Doge is just wild, man. So I was there in 17. I think that's actually when we met. I think my big trade then wasn't even that small of a coin. It was Ethereum. It was Ethereum, and what was XRP? Is
XRP,
shameful,
like pennies.
that says. Yeah. Okay, looking on here, guys, I just want to remind you, we haven't seen anything really interesting here, but this is the area where I'm expecting ISM liquidity, right? Basically, the Fed's net balance sheet to start picking up. Okay, and this is where Bitcoin kind of follows. And we have seen a bit of a lag here, but all the other data coming through suggests that it's all in the cards. I mean, we've even seen the liquidity regime change with the rates. So I'm watching this, and the reason why I keep showing it is because I really do believe that we're going to get a squeeze breakout here to the upside eventually. And I know it's a bit far away, but look how quick these things can pop. Right. And then we're back in the bull market as far as liquidity goes. So watching that as well, make sure you keep eye on that. And then I thought we would move to a bit of stocks. I made a post yesterday, and there are a few people that like to watch stocks. And if you're thinking about diversifying, I think that's a really great idea. It's only more opportunity, and there's so many different sectors in stocks. Here's the S&P 500, the largest 500 companies in the stock market. And you can see here that it just likes to make little signals and then channels, right? Tested the track line, which is one of our setups, green dot reaction, channel, topping signal, little deviation here. Now we're going through a squeeze shading, which gets a breakout arrow. We are at all-time highs. So watch that. I think that this all leads to liquidity is pumping into the market. We're going to see stocks higher. We're going to see most likely technology way higher, and of course, Bitcoin higher. These are all things too that seem to be popping while the dollar is also climbing, which is a very weird dynamic. Moving on here just real quick. This is basically, call it almost a tech sector. That's the 100 largest stocks, and 50 of them are weighted in the tech sector. And usually this outperforms here, but you can see this is actually holding back. So technology is actually not performing as well as the general market, because you can see the general market is actually at all-time highs here for the weekly candle. Looks like I forgot to talk about WIF here. So this is another setup I wanted to show you guys in crypto here. And you can see here, if I enlarge this to make it look more pretty, we have made a little double bottom here. Now, this bottom is a little bit lower. I like to call these a modified bottom. And in fact, I like them and I prefer them more in crypto because crypto is a little bit messy. I do like the fact that we have a bottom signal on the first leg and the second leg. And for those of you watching that have our tools, know that that also happens sometimes as you will get a bottom signal, right? And it'll confirm, but a lot of times it's telling you that's the first leg of the double bottom. And for this one, for confirmation, for most technical bottoms, you want to see a break of the midpoint. So I do like the track line positioning right here, maybe in this little region here. If we break above it, this will be very much a confirmed double bottom. For our signals though, we would also like to see a green dot. What would that lead to? Well, you can see here, it wouldn't be much higher before we get a breakout arrow to the upside. And of course, that leads a lot of times to extended trends. So watch out for that setup here on WIF, guys. It's not confirmed yet, but if you do have our tools, that green dot will let you know when you have that high probability setup. Last but not least here, I wanted to talk about Rocket Labs. This is one that I've been in. Raul Powell has also been in this one. I've posted this one a few times, and it looks like it's not wanting to stop anytime soon. This is in the aerospace industry, and I thought I would at least catch one individual stock setup for you along with the Doge. So there's your stock setup for today.
Don't call me. I'm friends with you and Raul. Nobody told me.
You're too busy, Sky. We can't even get a hold of you. Your schedule is
whatever, man.
Every week.
Hurricanes and stuff.
Shame. Yeah, I'm glad you're okay with that. I'm glad you're okay with that. Okay, well, lastly, actually, we do have a flash sale on the screener. You see me posting about it. So let's take it for a little test drive in front of you guys. Okay, so we'll start with cryptocurrencies. Let's do daily. A lot of times on my little videos, you'll see me go to bottoms, and I'll do the bottom signals, or even better, search for the confirmed bottoms. But this time, let's leave those behind, and let's just do something simple. Somebody asked what the green dots were, and I said they were the earliest signal that we're getting a trend, a bullish trend. So let's look for one green dot happening. We'll hit search, see what it spits out here. Okay, you can see it's giving us some chart previews. Let's go with XLM here. See what the chart has in store for us. Oops. Okay, so there you can see it, guys. We do have a bottom signal here, and it has a green dot. It's first green dot. We weren't looking for bottom signals. So we'll clean up the chart here, and you can see that we're printing our very first green dot on Stellar Lumens. This was another one that was hot, I think, in 2017 and 18.
Super hot. It followed XRP. Every time XRP would move, then XLM would move after it.
Yeah, but it looks like this one's a ranging asset here, right? So this is one that you would play if you're midterm, right? It's not really doing anything. Let's see on the weekly. Yeah, it's just ranging right here under the track line. So unless you're a short-term time frame trader, this would be a good setup for that because you could play this up to the range and back and forth. But yeah, that's how you can find setups with Trading Alpha, even just one dot printing, reversal bars that are confirmed. Everything that we go through, you can find this on Trading Alpha's screener. And this is how I search for stocks every single morning. I don't bother going through hundreds of charts. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we've never had a sale on this. And this is the first flash sale. And I believe it ends on Sunday. And it is for 20%. And if you want that discount, just head down into the comments. You can check out the link there. And you can also see what the discount code is to get that if you want this.
Yeah, I mean, this is what both Wick and I, he created it, so obviously, but use every single day. It's exactly how I look for setups now too. I just go into the screener because even for me, you know, it has RSI divergences, right? So bullish divergence, daily, crypto, boom. You know, and
Track
so
line,
that's my
breakouts.
favorite, even outside. So it just shows you literally everything you need to know. It's the easiest way. It saves you so much time staring at charts outside of even like how amazing the indicator is at catching these moves. It's just amazing.
Yes, and one more thing I want to show them, Scott, before we go. For those of you that do have the indicators and have gotten the screener, I've got a little secret for you that I told a few people. This right here and this right here, I'm not going to tell you what it looks for. It is something I put on there for me. And if you can figure it out, I will come up with a prize for you guys. But that is a special thing that I look for, and I'll give you a clue. We have local bottom signals. This would be something along the terms of macro bottoms, these two here.
Oh boy.
So that's it for today, Scott. That's all I got.
All right, man. Amazing, guys. Sign up. It's right down below. As you said in the description, there's a 10%, I think, discount there. You should have both the indicators, and if you're trading at all, the indicators, and certainly the screener. It's absolutely amazing. That's all we got for you guys today. Good job, man. 3:53 p.m. Nailed it.
Finally, right?
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks, brother.
Take care.
Bye.
That's dope.